Hello, and welcome to KSS Program's online lessons. Today, we'll be discussing board games. Today's lesson is divided in 5 sections. Let's begin by going over Shunju Suzuki's quote. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few. The earliest board game it's believed to be Senet, and it was invented approximately 5,000 years ago. New games are developed every day and are always in high demand. The quintessential image of multiplayer family games today are board games. Board games have helped from culture and built some of our earliest and strongest social memories. Before approximately 500 BC, board games were played mostly by adults and more specifically by the society's elite. Many board games have adapted to be playable as video games these days, including chess, Risk, and others. Military and war games. Ludas Latrunculorum, which translates play chess, was a two-player strategy game played throughout the Roman Empire. The game board it's called the city, with the two different sets of game pieces called dogs. While precise rules are unknown, the object of the game is to enclose your opponent's color piece with two pieces of your color. TOEFL or TOFE in Turkish are strategy games similar to chess, but generally involve a 2-1 ratio of pieces, with the lesser side having a king piece in the center of the board. The object of the game is to move your king to the outside of the board for one player and to capture the king for the other player. Chaturanga is an Indian board game developed in the Gupta Empire around 600 AD. It was played on an 8x8 checkerboard and believed to be the motivation for Shatranj and today's well-known game of chess. Shatranj, or Persian chess, is the precursor to chess and has very similar features. At around 500 AD, chess took shape into today's game, where each player begins with 18 pieces. The object of the game is to capture your opponent's king. Out of the 18 pieces, the queen is the strongest and the pawns are the weakest. Risk is a strategy board game invented in 1959. The board shows a political map of the world, and it's divided in 42 different territories and grouped in 6 continents. With dice, cards, and game pieces, the object of the game is to eliminate other players by taking over their territories. Most people say it's very fun and addicting. Battleship is a strategy type guessing game that originated as a pen and pencil game during World War I. The object of the game is to guess locations of enemy battleships so you can sink theirs before they sink yours. It's a classic. Now, let's go over the settlements and territory strategy games. The Settlers of Catan was invented in 1995 and became so popular that it was dubbed by the Washington Post as the board game of our time. In this game, players compete by acquiring resources like roads, cities, and settlements to establish the most successful colony. Monopoly was originally developed by the anti-monopolist Lizzie McGee to demonstrate the negative effects of land owning monopolies. The player's object in this game is to become the wealthiest by buying, selling, trading, and collecting rent on properties. Axis and Allies was first published in 1981, and like The Settlers of Catan and Monopoly evolved, many variations exist today. Players play as the major powers in World War II. To win, the Axis side looks to capture a number of the occupied cities, while the Allies side looks to capture Berlin and Rome. Mangala refers to several two-player games, but they share common gameplay. Small stones, beans, or seeds are placed into small pits and moved around the game board using a dice. A player's turn consists of removing all the seeds from one of the pits on the board and sowing them into consecutive pits. Players capture stones based on the state of the board. The object of the game is to capture more stones than your opponent. Cluedo, known as Clue in North America, is a murder mystery game designed for 3 to 6 players. The object of the game is to determine who murdered the game's victim. Each player is a suspect and looks to win by moving around the 9 rooms of the game board to collect clues about the murder. The players look to solve the mystery. The game of life simulates a player's travels through life, including college, work, marriage, children, retirement. The original game of life was Milton Bradley's first ever developed board game. It now sits in the National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C. for its major influence in American society and family life. Over 50 million copies of the game exist today in over 20 languages. All right, now to wrap things up, let's take a look at the fun fact of the day. We hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.